Oh, I started about when I was in my late teens. I never really learnt the fundamental um, movements and balance of the bike properly, and
Hmm.
so never really became a good confident rider. And so after about 25, nearly 30 years, because I'm 59 now, and that's about when I clicked onto your site and thought, man, I better start learning something, and 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 just try and improve, try and up my level of experience, and yeah, and that's what's pretty much happened. And when I went out for my first trail ride, um, yeah, what a difference it made, in just upping my level from how I used to ride before. When it come to cornering. Because a lot of tracks that we go on, it's up quite steep hills, and so I just don't quite have the confidence for quite steep hills. So it's just a matter of knowing my balance and positioning my body when I'm riding on those um, certain spots,
Hmm.
and just basically learning how to set your bike up too was another one. Like I didn't know what sort of gearing I should have my bike in. So just little things like not knowing how to set your bike up. I know a lot more about my bike now than what I did was way back in my teens when all I did was ride it, and I'm still learning. Basically, I've learnt more from you, from watching your video clips. I set up some cones about 50 meters apart, and I did figure eights. I just found once I understood the fundamental movements of balancing myself on that bike and doing those cornering, I thought, oh man, what a difference!
Yeah.
Because before I didn't do that, and I was forever taking the corners wide, too wide. So that just made an instant difference in cornering. I can come into the corner, drop the bike to one side, and lean and position my balance, my body forward, and I can feel the grip of the tires as I was. One part there, I must have slipped about a foot, but I still had control of the bike and carried on. So
Yeah.
I got right to that edge of grip and losing grip. But like I'm not expecting to be a professional motocross rider. Just enough to um, get myself to a better level. Like I feel now that I can do the intermediate grade. And there's all different levels that you can go at, and depends on what level you want to do. So it's all about knowing your technique and getting around your track quite safely. I believe with the information that you've given me, has helped me improve myself quite a bit. So I'm very happy with what you've taught me, and learn a little bit more. Yeah, yeah. For new beginners, I do recommend you and your training, and for for people who are learning how to ride, it just gives them a heads up, and gets them up to a good intermediate stage, and good safety techniques. So yeah, I think it helps people get up to that intermediate stage much faster and quicker. Like I do know more about my bike now than I did when I was riding it in my late teens and early 20s. And it's watching your videos and trying to take note of what you're saying, and watching your video clips carefully. Sometimes I've got to go back and watch it again, just sort of slow it down a bit to see what you're doing, especially that clutch. Yeah, working that clutch and throttle, getting a bit of an understanding of that. Because I mean, before I never used to do that. It was just hit the throttle and get in the gear and go. But
Yeah.
there's a lot more to it than just that. The little fine points of. I'm enjoying what the information you've sent, and like I say, you've got me up to intermediate stage, which is good for me for what I do, and it's just for me, it's just a matter of over my winter months is getting out there and practice, and then what I'll do is I'll go back to the information you've given me and just read up a bit more about it and then go back out to the field. So it's just a matter of reading what you've got and looking at your video clips and then going back out to the field and then practicing on the field, and then over winter, and then during our summer months when all the big trail rides come up, put what I've learnt onto those trails. It's not something that will happen overnight, but yeah, like you say, we're all busy blokes doing our trying to live, and then trying to get out there and have some fun.
Yeah.
And getting around the track quite safely. Like one of my rides I did, I had a young fellow who was trying to keep up with me. Well, he could easily keep up with me because I wasn't racing, but he reckons there was a point he was right behind me, and I just took off like a rocket up this little steep hill, and he was struggling to keep up. But then when he finally went past me, he gave me the thumbs up, because he loved the bike that I was on, because he was on a modern CRF,
Yeah.
and I was on my old 40-year-old bike. But he said to me it looked really cool to see that old bike on the trails, and doing what I did. So I felt pretty good that, hey, I've learnt something
Yeah.
from watching your videos, and like I say, I'll go back and forward watching some of your video clips and then going back out in the field and carrying on.